Welcome to the Craft of Coaching podcast, where we dive into what it truly takes to become a skilled, confident life coach. I'm your host, Kate, head of the CLCC, or Certified Life Coach Collective, an ICF-Accredited Level 1 coach training program. We combine courage, coaching, and community to offer you more than just a training program, but a life-changing experience where you use your own personal transformation as the learning ground for supporting your clients. On this podcast, we explore how you can use coaching skills to support your clients or expand your own growth, all grounded in evidence-based coaching practices. Learn more about our program and get free resources for becoming a life coach at teamclcc.com. And now, here's today's episode. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome another guest to the podcast. Today, that would be Cory Huff. Cory, C-O-R-Y, Huff, H-U-F-F, has spent his career at the intersection of tech, art, and marketing. So for those of you who have ever been like, who are the marketing people who actually get where I'm coming from? I'm not a business person as a coach. That hasn't been my background. I'm more artsy. I'm more creative. That's kind of how I want to approach marketing. You're going to have some good content today on that. He came up in the vanguard of tech startups that brought data-driven marketing to the mainstream. At the same time, he has a BFA in theater and has been a classical stage actor and artist for decades. Cory melded his personal and professional life when he launched theabundantartist.com. Don't you just love that URL? To help artists learn how to sell their art online. He has held roles as a marketing technology strategist and consultant and worked behind the scenes in fine art, music, online learning, and marketing implementations ranging from small business to enterprise scale. HarperCollins published his book, How to Sell Art Online, Live a Creative Life on Your Own Terms. He holds certifications from Salesforce and HubSpot. And if you haven't already figured this out, this is why I invited him as a Craft of Coaching guest, because I know that so many coaches are going, how do I put together the part of me that wants to be free-flowing and creative and just completely open about how I market my work with the strategy that actually gets results. So I'm super excited to have Cory here today. He's a serial entrepreneur, a marketing consultant. He does a lot of things, and he really and truly does understand the coaching industry and how it is that as a coach, you need to have some level of strategic skill, and he offers some support around that, and we'll be talking about that today. So let's get into today's episode with Cory Huff. We're ready to roll. So I am really excited to be chatting with you today, Cory. You and I are in a kind of private Facebook group where a lot of people dispense a lot of different takes and wisdom. A lot of people who have been doing the business thing for a number of years. I noticed you in particular, like we hadn't had like an in-person connection, but then I noticed you in particular, like every time you would kind of say, here's my take on something, I go, oh yeah, I've kind of investigated and poked around a little bit at that question before. So I know Cory's coming from a really great place with this. So was excited to have you say yes to being on the podcast. I wondered if you would start introducing yourself kind of Mad Lib style. For the past several years, I've helped what audience, who, to stop experiencing what problems, friction, challenges, and start experiencing what solutions, benefits, growth.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me. It's great to connect with you and actually have a chat with you and not just see you on Facebook. But for the past several years, I've helped business owners stop wasting time and money on complex marketing technology and start using their tools to actually grow their businesses.
So there we go. Everybody now understands why I invited you onto the podcast, because Craft of Coaching podcasts, the audience is new and emerging coaches. And one of the things that I feel very mama bear about with running a coach training program when people graduate is how I know that that will to succeed, that strong desire to let go of what is, for a lot of people, the corporate soul-sucking job that everybody wants to get away from, to work for yourself, to do work that lights you up. There is such a predatory marketplace to try to grab new and emerging coaches and convince them. Like it used to be, you and I have been around the block a couple of times, but it used to be, here's the like 3 easy steps, easy in air quotes, to making a 6 figures for your year. Now it's up the ante, and here's your 3 easy steps, quote unquote, to make 6 figures every single month, which I'm not saying it couldn't be done. I want to believe in a world where that's possible. I'm just saying I'm really dubious before I'm putting any money down, and frankly would issue a challenge to anybody who claims that they can get people to do that. Like, go ahead and run me through your program for free, and if I can make 6 figures every single month, I will be the biggest evangelist for your program. But other than that, I kind of think you're lying.
I've never even heard that as an offer. Like, that's crazy.
Start having 6-figure months, start having $30,000 months even. It's not 6 figures, but it's, a massive amount of money, which, if the median income in the United States is something like $50,000 a year annually, it's like, I'm trying to wrap my head around it, because if you're a coach and you're working with people one-on-one, there's only so much capacity you have to work with clients. So a lot of times would be pretty exceptional. Yeah. A lot of times they're claiming group programs that would scale, coaching packages that are $10,000 each, and you have 10 clients, things like that. I actually know of a situation. I'm just going to spill the tea with you just a little bit. I had a little legal entanglement with somebody many, many years ago, where they came after me, and I was like, oh no, you think I'm not going to lawyer up? Let's talk. And, the funny thing about like going into the private investigator mode to try to figure out like what was going on with this person is that I actually figured out how they make some of these claims. Here's what they do. They basically will have people swap payments of some gargantuan amount. So they'll have, like, let's say 2 coaches. I'll pay you $10,000 to coach me, and you'll pay me $10,000 to coach you. And then you have a balance sheet that says that you had a $10,000 month.
Got it.
So that's essentially what they're doing. And then they kind of package it all up in this whole like money mindset thing. Like, you have to do the exercise of swapping the $10,000 with somebody else to generate a bank income statement where you see all this money on the bank income statement, so that you can then step into some kind of manifested reality, which I find to be, really, really predatory. There's just a lot of predatory stuff. So you've introduced yourself basically to come back to you as the guest, as the person who's going to help coaches cut through the noise. What are the systems that they actually need? That's what you're helping people with. I know you've worked with a lot of artists. Today we'll focus on coaching, but I think a lot of it, there's a lot of overlap there. Coaches and artists both have a lot of fear around asking for the sale, putting themselves out there, not wanting to be a schmarmy marketer, all that good stuff. So when an artist or coach is getting started with marketing, what are the things that you see them focusing on that are actually not the best use of their time, money, or resources?
Yeah. So I work with artists a lot, and I am a coach, right? I coach artists, and several of the people who are close to me in my life are coaches as well. My girlfriend is a coach. My best friend has been an executive coach for a long time. And I actually worked for his company for a little while. So I get to see the inside of a fair number of coaching businesses. And one of the things that I see beginning coaches do is they try to scale, right? And scaling, for whatever reason, has become like a buzzword. I need to scale my business. And scaling is something that you do after you find what's called product market fit. So this is like a tech industry term for basically knowing what you're offering and knowing who is most likely to buy it and how to reach them, right? Yeah. And product market fit for a coach, depending on the coach, it might look like something like, okay, I know that I offer life coaching for women with children who are executives, right? Like you, and then you know that you work really well with those people and that they really like working with you, and you've had at least a handful of coaching engagements so that you have a track record of working with them and you feel good about it. And you know that, that business is growing probably by word of mouth or referral. That is when you get to the point where you can scale a business.
Mm-hmm.
The challenges with like the danger of scaling a business. Scaling means to make it grow bigger and faster, right? And the problem is if you scale a business that doesn't have product market fit, you scale the wrong things. You scale the wrong messages. You reach a lot of people, but they're the wrong people. You make a lot of offers, but they're the wrong offers.
Mm-hmm.
So people come and talk to me about tech and they show me their marketing automation implementation or their ad strategy. And I'm like, you don't even have a good offer yet. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You need to make sure that you find product market fit. And then when you're confident about who you're talking to and what you're selling, that's when you can start scaling up.
Yeah. And to one of the examples I've given when I've taught marketing to coaches is I bring up when I was looking for my very first home in California, which is daunting. My husband and I'll never forget the realtor we adored our realtor, but I remember one of the houses she showed us, they had a really, really wide side yard. And she was like, someday when you retire, you could park an RV there. And it was this thing that like stuck out because we're trying to just get in on our first home, which for most home buyers is the hardest. Mm-hmm. We're not thinking about retirement. We're not thinking about RVs. We're not thinking about any of that. So it's almost like to go out into the marketplace, to have the wrong product or the wrong message for the wrong audience is kind of like that moment. It's not that she wasn't making a good point. The side yard absolutely did have enough room for the RV. It's just that as first-time home buyers in that moment, we were not the right audience for what she was pointing out to us. It was just that we're nowhere there. And that's sometimes what happens with coaches, where they're talking to Gen Z about like, how to do executive coaching. And it's like, well, hold on. Gen Z might not be at like the executive coaching level yet. A lot of Gen Zers are just starting out in their careers, things of that nature. And correct me if you feel like I'm getting off base with what you're saying.
No, I think that's exactly it. Like I'm going to build a whole email marketing series for my business, and it's going to have all these messages. And if all the people who are following you and joining your email list are Gen Zers, for example, and your whole email series is about how to lead teams, there's a disconnect there.
Yeah.
And trying to build like extra complexity, having like a 10-part email series when you've just barely booked your first few clients, probably not where you want to spend your time and effort.
Yeah, that and a 10-part email series, there's so much in there that's like, God, that's a lot of variables to test. Like, what if one of your emails, you've accidentally patterned it to go out on a Sunday, and that's like a bad time for email opens or something. And it's like, you don't even realize it. It's just like there could be, what if you have a broken link in one of those and you're like, why is it everybody stops my sequence at number 6? And you're thinking it's your it's just, it's really overcomplicates things.
Yeah. When you're a solo practitioner and, maybe you have one assistant, neither of you have time to be maintaining a sequence like that. So it's something you do after you have a little more time and a little more revenue coming in. And this also happens with social media. You'll see coaches start posting on social media without knowing who they are and what their offer is. And so they're just like doing social media, but they're talking to this vague like audience without talking directly to the kind of people that they want to be working with as a coach. So you see that happen too.
Yeah. I was speaking with another coach for the Craft of Coaching podcast recently, actually, and we got into a whole thing about niching and how one of the fears coaches have is that if they choose a niche, they're cutting off a lot of people who might want to come work with them. And the big takeaway from that episode, I would encourage people to check it out. It's my interview with Laura Sims, is to really look at what we're saying in that episode about how the way that you show up as a coach can actually, like career coaching, for instance, is what she does. It's just a vehicle for a client's way of being. Like, she's not just doing career coaching. It's not like people can't talk to her about the demands of parenting vis-a-vis career coaching or career development. It's that the entry point is career coaching and how to find a career that feels like home and, things of that nature. So, all right. So what should new coaches be focusing on instead? Well, imagine someone who they're out of coach training. They're in that first, like say 6 months of getting up and going.
Having lots and lots of one-on-one conversations.
Okay.
And that sounds exhausting, but it is, but that's what you need to be doing. Like if you are, and this is, so before I was doing what I'm doing now, I spent years working in marketing technology startups. Right. So companies that eventually would go on to hire hundreds or thousands of people. Right. And in the very beginning, when I was like employee number 20, we would go out and talk to, VPs of marketing one-on-one and say, hey, what do you guys need? What are you doing? What kind of, pain and problems do you have? And how would you like those problems to be solved?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then you build your product and your offers around that.
Yeah. I mean, it's basic user experience mapping. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So if you think that you want to be an executive coach, then you need to go talk to a bunch of executives. And if you don't have access to any executives and you want to be an executive coach, you've got a bit of a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you need to think about who do you know? Who do you have a natural connection with, and that you can help as a coach, right? And this is why there are so many coaches, because people need different kinds of coaches for different things they're doing in their lives and different stages of life.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you familiar with value proposition design? That's my.
Yes, I'm more familiar with the jobs to be done framework.
Okay. Yeah.
But they're similar ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, I love value proposition design because it's really, I think of it as you speak to the problems people face and the solutions that they desire. And for new coaches, like in that example of if you want to do executive coaching, but you don't actually have a connection to executive coaches, one, you need to get connected to some executive coaches. And then two, you need to be asking them about what are the problems they're facing? What are the friction points? What are the
talking to executives, not other executive coaches, but talking to executives.
Yes, sorry, excuse me. Yeah, talking to executives. And so what are the problems that they're facing or jobs to be done, and the solutions that they're desiring, and getting really clear on that. And the thing I love about value proposition design is when you map all that out, your sales page is basically written. Are you someone who struggles with da, 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 da? Great. Well, I've got a solution for you. Here is what we can achieve together in coaching, and it makes it just so much easier. So,
yeah. When I was designing theabundantartist.com, like the business that I have for coaching artists, I went out and talked to hundreds of artists, and I have a BFA in theater. So my natural audience was other performers and their tertiary audiences. And it turns out there's a lot of overlap between visual artists and performers. They were a lot of my friends. And so when I started that business, it was literally just me kind of flailing around and figuring things out very early in my career. And as I started talking to more and more of my friends who were artists, I saw this pattern show up over and over again, where artists just didn't know how to run a business, didn't know very much about marketing. And they just needed somebody who could speak their language, who could walk them through the basics of how marketing works. And that was, that was early in my career. I didn't have a framework for that then, but now in hindsight, I can see, I found product market fit because I knew how to talk to artists, and I knew how to answer their questions and talk to them in a way that made sense to them without talking down to them or making them feel bad. And that was really fun. And it was a great way to start the first successful business that I started. And then you grow from there, right? Just because you have an initial audience that you work with Doesn't mean that those are the only people that you work with forever, but they can be the beginning of a really solid customer base.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it too is about finding that journey that they're going on. Like, to use the example of a coach training, it's like I understand very intimately the place I'm about to sign up for coach training. This is kind of how I feel, but I also have taken the time to look at, okay, somebody who's graduated from coach training, what's going on for them. And then now more and more, in part because I'm getting asked for it, from graduates of my program, like for things that actually are more salient for people when they've been in the market as a coach for 2 or 3 years. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Are there any guiding questions, mindsets, or perspectives that you feel like someone really needs to adopt when it comes to marketing that helps them to be more successful?
Yeah, I think there's two things that I would think about. One is just developing a deep curiosity about your people, and then also developing a habit and practice of metrics, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there is no like program or course or pre-built marketing package that works that you can just take and copy and paste into some emails that is going to then sell a bunch of coaching for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? You need to be deeply curious about your people, and this is why I always recommend that early business owners go through the process of having lots of one-on-one conversations with the people that they want to sell to, or that they think they want to sell to, right? Because you might discover that, maybe you think that you want to sell to moms, but then after you have 10 conversations with moms, you might realize, you know what? Actually, I don't want to sell to these people for whatever reason, right? But if you have those conversations and you're like, man, I'm really passionate about helping these moms solve this problem, then it's much easier for you to scale your passion and your care for those people, because then you will be able to more easily write those emails that then go into, lots of people. You'll be better and more words. You'll be better equipped to write that ad copy or whatever it is. If you care deeply about your people, that will show up in your marketing and kind of get rid of a lot of that like people always say, oh, I don't want to be salesy,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't want to be salesy. And all salesy is, sometimes it's bad writing or just bad marketing. But a lot of times what looks salesy to one person just means that they're not the right fit.
Right.
Right. But if it's something that you're passionate about and you deeply understand your audience, you can make a really aggressive offer. And the people in that audience who are a good fit will go, wow, I really resonate with this, even if it's overtly salesy,
Mm-hmm.
right? So just having that deep curiosity about what's going on with your audience and who they are and what they care about and all that kind of stuff will inform everything down the line, including your team, right? Because your team, like whoever you hire to help you run your marketing or help you do marketing, those people are never going to care about your audience the way that you do, and
Mm-hmm.
they're never going to care about your business the way that you do, right? So whatever curiosity and passion you bring to the business, it's going to get diluted when it goes into your team and you're handing off projects and assignments. They're not going to understand it at the level that you are. So one of the dangers of scaling is transmitting the idea from your head to somebody else's head to the audience. And so the clearer you are, the clearer it will be down the line when it scales out to 10 emails and 15 ads and all that kind of stuff.
This has me wondering, because we keep kind of circling around this question of audience.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, like, I know because of time, like kind of high level, how do you help people to identify their audience? Because we've really moved past, or at least I think, and if you want to correct me on this, I'm totally open to that. We've really moved past demographics, age, location, married or not, and more into psychographics, which is a values based way of looking at things. So all people who, are really into natural health, personal growth, and being politically active to try to affect change, right? Like, and that can be a different group than a different politically active group who is not into like personal growth and crunchy granola, natural health, right? And I'm just riffing here. I'm not like pulling in any particular group, just in case anyone's wondering. But I'm wondering, what are some things that you do to try to guide people to identifying who their audience is? Because I can imagine for an artist, even for a coach, it can be very like, well, I would coach anyone, or I would make my art for anyone.
Yeah. So if your audience is anyone, your audience is no one, because there's too much competition. There's too many people who are unique and interesting for you to compete with them if you don't put a stake in the ground, right? So if you're like, I coach everybody, then people are going to look at you and go, then like, okay, but why? But what do you help them do? And how do you understand my unique challenges, right?
What problem do you solve?
What problem do you solve? Yeah. So when I sit with somebody, and if they haven't figured out their target audience yet, there's some remedial work to do, right? And we have to say, okay, like, if you've been in business for a while, I will go back and say, look at your best clients. Who are the ones that paid you the best, who were the least painful to work with, or maybe the most fun to work with, right? And then look for the patterns, right? So with some coaches, you look and say, gosh, like, these people who came in early on in my business, they were all kind of difficult to work with. And then I had a breakthrough, and I started working with a handful of executives who their companies paid me on time every month, and it was never an issue. And I go, oh, okay, well, would you like to work with more of those people, or would you like to work with more of the individuals who were difficult to work with? And of course, the answer is, I'd rather work with the other people. And they say, okay, well, tell me about those people. What are they like? What do they prefer? How do you meet those people? Where did you meet them? And then we kind of start to build a profile from there. This gets more interesting when we start talking about things at scale. So if you're a coach who is working at, like, maybe you're running lots of group programs, or maybe you have some products that you're offering to scale, this gets more interesting, because then we move away from demographics and psychographics towards behavioral data. And this is where, for me as a marketing nerd, things can get super interesting, because behavioral data is way more reliable than psychographic and demographic data, because psychographic and demographic is broad, and it's you're labeling groups with a certain label, but behavioral data is individualized. Right. So the technology exists now where I can say, okay, this user number one on my website went to my about page, then they went to my like testimonials page, and then they went to my coaching application page. So gosh, I should probably, but they didn't complete the application. So maybe I should target them with an ad that shows up on Meta, on Facebook and Instagram. That ad has whatever message in it. But when you can get that granular at scale, your business then becomes a lot more scalable and becomes a lot more profitable, because with demographic and psychographic information, there's still a lot of guesswork, and you're not able to personalize your messages in the way that you might like.
So what are the systems that are used for that level of detail? And before you answer that question, would you also just confirm, I'm assuming that is a much more advanced kind of, like, this is not what you're doing in the early days. This is the work that comes later.
This is stuff that comes later. That's why I said it's when you're focused on
data, like, I don't even get that granular. So now you've really piqued my interest. I'm like, okay, what are we doing there?
Yeah. So, is it like, how advanced is it to do that kind of stuff? It kind of depends on what exactly you're doing. So if you're using a marketing automation platform, like let's say it's HubSpot or something like Customer IO, HubSpot has within it the ability to cookie somebody. So they come to your website, and then because if they accept cookie permission on their browser, then you can see which pages on your website they visited. And then you have an integration from HubSpot into Meta, which allows you to say, any user who has accepted cookies, I can go ahead and show them an ad. So this does not mean that you know who that user is. You don't know, unless you've already collected their email address. You don't know who the user is. It's just an anonymized user number one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but on the back end in the technology world, your website and HubSpot are sending data into Meta and then telling Meta to run some ads. So if you set that whole system up, you can target people in that way. And pretty much any small business can do that, right? Like marketing hub for HubSpot is relatively affordable. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's $50 a month or something like that. And there's other platforms that'll do that too. I think Kajabi does it, and there's some others. So you can run that kind of basic targeting system at a relatively low level, as long as your business is generating some money. It's relatively easy to do that. But there's also more sophisticated systems that you can use. You can get all the way up to scaling to millions of people, which most coaches won't get to. But you can get very, very granular at a very big scale.
Ooh, see, like now I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to get some time on Cory's calendar. I'm gonna learn something new, which is fantastic. So last question, for those who already have some of the basics in place, what do you see as those strategic moves to start to scale? Is it what you were just describing or something else?
Yeah, so those things, and this goes back to the second mindset piece that I mentioned, which is the focus on metrics and experiments, right? So a lot of people they'll do marketing. I hate that phrase, but they'll say, "Oh, I'm doing marketing," and what they mean is I'm sending some emails and I'm posting on social media, right?
Right.
And then I say, "Okay, well, what are your open rates and click rates?" And they'll go, "I'm not sure." And when you're posting on social media, like, what's your engagement rate? And do people message you or respond when you are posting on social? And if you're not like keeping regular track, like when I do this, I get these kinds of results. When I post these kinds of things on social, I get these kinds of results. If you're not doing that, you won't get better.
Yeah.
Right. And the best coaching programs like teach coaches how to do that in their work, right? In the core work. You say, when I coach people this way, I get better results. When I do these things, I don't get as good results. And you learn to like observe yourself as a coach and as a business owner so that you get better, right? So you focus on, and each marketing method has its own metrics, right? But real high level, you want to focus on your sales, and then what are the 2 or 3 steps before your sales that drive results? So, for a lot of coaches, it looks like, somebody books a sale, like they book a coaching session on my website, and I know that if they are on my email list, then 1 out of every 50 people that are on my email list are going to book a coaching session with me over the course of a year. Right. Okay, I charge, making up a number here, I charge $1,000 for a coaching session. And so if I spend X, you can kind of do the math backwards. If I spend X amount of money to get the right people on my email list with ads, then 1 out of 50 of them will book a coaching session with me. How many people can I pay to get on my email list and still remain profitable per session?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, that is an important number to know because these days with Facebook and Instagram, it's pay to play all the way. I mean, to be honest, I wonder how long Facebook and Instagram will even be viable platforms because too many people will, myself included, like I have like 11,000 followers on my Facebook Your Courageous Life page. And when I put content out and I see that the reach was 3 people, I'm kind of going, hold on there a minute, Facebook. Like, I get that you're trying to get me to pay to play, but like, you're not even inspiring me to want to if you're only showing my content to 3 people to try to, get me to pay to play. If you would show it to like 300 people, then maybe I'd be kind of inspired and go, oh, well, 300 out of 11,000, like, let me double that or something. But I think they're playing it a little too fast and loose with most people who are on those platforms. It's part of why platforms like TikTok, people jump to it and go over there because they can start getting results so much faster and without having to pay to play. But everything you're talking about feeds into an appropriate strategy for being able to say, this is what's working, so you can get out of that burnout phase, frankly, of throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks.
Yep.
So, yeah. All right. Well, if anyone wants to find you, is there anything else you want to leave us with today about where you are or what you're up to that could be enticing to them today?
Oh, sure. Yeah. If you want to learn, like, if you happen to be an artist and you want to learn more about like business coaching for artists, you can head over to theabundantartist.com. If you are not an artist and you own a business and want me to come and talk to you about marketing and marketing technology strategy, you can just shoot me an email. It's coryhuff@gmail.com. And I'm happy to be a consultant with you or your business, or just have a conversation. I do that with a lot of different businesses.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, Cory. Really appreciate all the insights that you've given.
All right.
All right, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Before you go, would you help us out and take a moment to give us a rating in iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you're listening? It really helps us get the word out to other listeners. And before you go today, would you like free resources to support your coaching journey? Whether you're considering becoming a coach or you want advanced coach skills training, access our coaching resource library at teamclcc.com. Again, that's teamclcc.com. Can't wait to connect with you. And again, thanks for listening.